Fleetwood, 6 feet 6 inches tall, looming over his drums like a captain leading a charge. A founding father, the manager, and in many ways the guardian of a band of 5 musicians who were among the most popular in the world, who made the most successful album ever recorded by a single group. The album was Rumors. It sold more than 14 million copies worldwide, and this song from it has become a signature number for Fleetwood Mac. The song is called The Chain, and it has a special meaning to the group because it's the only number written by all 5 members, musicians who are better known for their differences in individual styles.
It seems like it's got real separate sometimes in the way people appreciate us, which in the long run has been an advantage, I think, to the band. We've always changed, you know, through the years. We've never stuck on one thing.
The only constant members since the band was founded in 1967 have been Fleetwood and bass player John McVie, the Mac of Fleetwood Mac and its free spirit. McVie's fascination with the behavior of penguins, he used to visit the London Zoo regularly to photograph them, resulted in the symbol adopted by the group as it evolved from the rhythm section of Fleetwood and McVie through a series of singers and musicians. Singer and keyboard player Christine Perfect joined the group after she married John McVie in 1968. Christine McVie has since written some of Fleetwood Mac's biggest hits, love ballads, as well as easygoing numbers like Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow.
I hold the thing together in a musical sense, since I'm playing chords all the time. I fill out all the necessary spaces that need to be filled out.
Other members of the group came and went. By one count, 9 combinations of musicians through guitarist Bob Welch, who had a strong jazz and rhythm and blues background. Describing himself as burned out, Welch quit the group in 1975. And that was when Mick Fleetwood discovered the pair that would give the band its new chemistry and sex appeal. Singer Stevie Nicks, guitarist Lindsey Buckingham. They were lovers and musical partners working together in California when Fleetwood invited them to join him and the McVies in 1975.
The sound was something that was so accessible. You have to remember, this was a time when punk rock was just starting in England. Rock and roll had gotten kind of tired. Nobody really knew where it was going to go. Everybody was waiting for the next big thing.
Syndicated rock columnist Lisa Robinson says the new Fleetwood Mac got together at the right time with the right combination.
Buckingham and Nicks brought in a California, very American kind of feel to the British hard-driving rhythm section of the blues that McVie and Mick Fleetwood had earlier.
There was always a camaraderie from the beginning. They never made us feel like, oh, you're new, and oh, you have to audition. Ever. We were always a part of it.
Lindsey Buckingham has changed his appearance since joining Fleetwood Mac, but he has amplified his principal role in the group.
My main contribution to this band is
just to provide a certain direction as an arranger, as a designer of the songs.
As an arranger, Buckingham added a folk rock flavor to many of the group's songs. As a writer, he contributed hits such as Go Your Own Way.
If I could, baby, I'd give you my world. How can I, when you won't take it from me? You can go your own way. You can call it under on the day. You can go your own way. Go your own way.
And in Stevie Nicks, the band found a natural performer who shared her belief in fairies and witches, in fantasy and magic through her music. During one long tour, she wrote a song called Sisters of the Moon that revealed some of the mysticism and vulnerability in her own personality that audiences invariably respond to.
We toured solid for 4 months. And I was even then wearing all black, and I just walked in front of a mirror, and I just looked so frail to myself that it scared me. It was like, who is that little kind of frail-looking girl in black, real pale, real blonde, real skinny? And I realized that it was me. And so if I'm talking to someone in this song, I'm talking to myself. So it went, intense silence as she walked in the room. Black rose trailing, sister of the moon, and a black widow beside her face. Oh, salad she, and black rose in those eyes of hers, baby. More sense to speak. Every persuasion, it was hard to breathe. She was dark at the top of the stairs. She called, "Breathe on."
5 individuals, 1 band, with a magic that was real and commercial. Their first album together, Fleetwood Mac, sold more than 4 million copies. But as they began work on their next album, Rumors, they also went through a series of changes in their personal relationships that were, as one writer described them, as complicated as the plot of a Russian novel. Their first album together, Fleetwood Mac, sold more than 4 million copies. But as they began work on their next album, Rumors, they also went through a series of changes in their personal relationships that were, as one writer described them, as complicated as the plot of a Russian novel. Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham broke up after a long affair, and it came out in the music they developed for Rumors. The song Dreams described the end of the relationship.
There you go again, you say you want your freedom. Well, who am I to keep you down? It's only right that you should play the way you feel. Listen carefully to the sound of loneliness like a heart that drives you mad.
People used to ask us, well, how did you manage to stay together as a band, you know, during all those years that you were breaking up?
And what you love,
It's that same thing. There's just a broader sense that the music that we are making collectively, it's a greater thing than any of us are individually.
happens when it's raining. Let's only love you when they're playing.
At the same time Buckingham and Nicks were breaking up, so were Christine and John McVie. And their changes, too, contributed to the mood of Rumors. Christine wrote the song she says has become her favorite, Songbird.
And I wish you all love in the world.
group held together, bolstered by commercial success. Rumors not only reached the incredible sales figure of 14 million, it also received widespread critical acclaim and won the Grammy as 1977's Album of the Year.
Fleetwood Mac!
The success also created unprecedented expectations for their next album. In 1979, with the recession on its way, the nation's $4 billion a year record industry experienced an 11% drop in sales. Executives felt that one of the albums that could bring buyers back into the stores would be Fleetwood Mac's next release.
You become very aware of being in a business once you're that successful. I think you just have to be, and we are, very wary of not letting that stifle what we would normally be doing. We're constantly exploring and trying to do better and better.
The new album was called Tusk, and the title song even featured the University of Southern California Marching Band, recorded in Dodger Stadium to add to its mixture of sounds. The album cost over $1 million to produce and included 2 discs at an expensive retail price of $15.98. Not designed to inspire a boom in record sales, although it did overnight go platinum, and the band scheduled a long tour to promote it.
We started this tour in October of last year. We rehearsed for 6 weeks, and the investment in getting new equipment and everything like that was about $1 million before we even hit the road.
It costs between $25,000 and $30,000 a day just to keep Fleetwood Mac on the road. But the investments in luxury jets and the separate limousines that emphasize their individual styles and in music are the group's own decision. The money to produce Tusk was put up by the band, and this time the music was most obviously influenced by Lindsey Buckingham. The sound, he says, has become cruder, looser, basic rock and roll. Although it didn't exactly rescue the record industry single-handedly, Tusk has so far sold 4.5 million albums, a huge amount by any group's definition.
Even if kids do not go back into a record store to buy 10 albums anymore, they will go and buy that one that they feel they have to have. And I think Fleetwood Mac is certainly in that group.
After the soap opera atmosphere that has surrounded Fleetwood Mac, the band is constantly asked how much longer it will stay together.
No one will let this die a long dying death. You know, nobody will let that happen to Fleetwood Mac ever. So we will just gracefully go away at some point, probably. But only when the magic isn't there anymore.
Christine McVie says she'd like to quit the road in a couple of years. John McVie likes concert performing. Lindsey Buckingham prefers designing his music in a studio. But Mick Fleetwood remains, according to Christine McVie, the combination sage and lunatic who keeps them all together with the instinct for change in his head and the rest in his hands.
You see a lot of moments where people are strong, people are weak, and that's the joy of having someone to bounce off. You know, you're ahead of other people in initiative and ideas and things that stimulate all of us in the end. And that's the secret of keeping people together.